Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? So, update 23 for Fallout 76 goes live today, and it's a relatively small patch, mostly bug fixes, but there are a couple of significant changes, including some nice little quality of life changes, a couple of changes to some legendary weapons as well, and some changes to the Nerd Rage Perk, which are particularly interesting. So, let's jump in and take a look, shall we? Okay then, so update 23 patch notes, October 13th, 2020. So as I say, this is mostly quite a small patch. There's some background stuff setting up Steel Dawn coming in a couple of months. Beyond that, it's mostly bug fixes, but there's a couple of interesting changes as well. So I'm going to breeze through this reasonably swiftly, and we'll focus on the most interesting stuff. So as I say, much smaller patch than usual. Still big on a couple of systems, but it's mostly bug fixes and stuff, so not massive. We've got 1.7 gigabytes if you're on Bethesda Net, which is nice. Somewhat larger on some of the other systems. We've got Microsoft Storage looking at 8.2 gig. Steam is down at 2.2, so that's not terrible. PS4 is 7.7 and Xbox is 8.1 gig. So still not small, but smaller than some of the ones we've had recently. So basically this is a list of bug fixes, but there are some significant changes in here. So first up, a couple of changes to allies. Customization. Ally apparel now correctly unequipped when you scrap the ally station, so whatever that may be. Good, that means you get your clothes back if you put them on your ally. And the Settler Forager can now give quests properly again, which is something that apparently they've had to try and fix a couple of times, which is a bit unfortunate. But hopefully it'll stick this time. So, some art and graphics changes. These are not particularly profound, they're just little visual things. We've got texture issue corrected for straitjackets on allies. Portion of player's left arm correctly visible when reloading while wearing a straitjacket and a Gauss rifle, using a Gauss rifle. That's nice. VTU baseball cap now displays correct logo and colours. Interesting, okay. Enemies. Address an issue that could cause normal mutant hounds to incorrectly display glowing mutant hound visual effects. So yeah, half the time you couldn't tell whether it was a glowing or a normal mutant hound. They've tried to fix this before, unsuccessfully though, so we'll see how it goes this time, but not a big deal. Doesn't affect how they actually play, just how they look. Lighting issue in the Hornwright estate has been fixed on the upper levels. Nice. Animations for lunchboxes will now correctly play in power armor, which is neither here nor there. If you've got the power armor HUD up, it's actually probably less of a good thing than anything else, seeing as the HUD occupies a fair bit of the screen, and so does that animation. So there we go, but it is what it is. At least you'll know for sure what the lunchbox is correctly activated. Corrected some overlapping art in the Bow Before Me perk card. In fact, there's a couple of perk card changes like that. There's a couple further down that are worth noting as well. So the symptomatic that should now play the correct animation. As far as I'm aware, it was playing the correct animation, but I guess that's a situational thing. Secret Service Under Armor should no longer clip through armor or other apparel when equipped, which is nice. Nice little visual fix. And the Blood Eagle paint now correctly worked for the suppressor mod on handmade rifles. So camps and workshops, slightly more interesting stuff here. Players can no longer path through the Blood Eagle nest when it is destroyed. Just a little thing, but there we go. Blueprints. Fixed an issue that could result in an infinite loading spinner when attempting to create a blueprint. So for those who are using them, that should be a little bit smoother now, which is very, very nice. Fixed an issue that could allow players to build collectron stations they have not currently unlocked. So that's good. That's making it function as it should, so people aren't getting free access to stuff that other people have had to pay for. Always preferred, both by Bethesda and other players who have actually spent the money, I suppose. So, displays. Lunchboxes will no longer clip into display cases, so that should look a little better. The Nuka-Cola secret door now snaps into place more effectively. An exploit related to blueprinting has been fixed. No idea what this could be. Not surprised that they're not going to spell it out in case people try and get a workaround, but that is always good to see exploits getting fixed. Statues have had some of their crafting requirements changed. The animatronics Santa and Snowman in particular, which I actually dislike the Snowman. It makes some horrible noises. But instead of requiring concrete, plastic, and adhesive, it now more logically requires circuitry, plastic, and steel. And the material costs have been brought down, which is always nice. Turrets should no longer target or attack neutral wandering merchant NPCs. So when you get a merchant just wanders into your camp on occasion, which is always nice to see, it should no longer get shot to bits by your turret, which is generally a bonus. It makes the whole trading with them a bit easier. Vending machines. The Slocum's Joe one should now snap to the Slocum's Joe counterpieces a bit more reliably, which is good. And wallpaper can now be correctly applied to wall variants that have windows, which is great. Specifically, that was more affecting the wooden walls than any of the others, I think, those in particular. So what you had to do before was switch it out for a regular wall or a doorway, apply the wallpaper and then switch it back. Now it should just work properly, so that's nice. And a little convenience thing, but good to see that working properly. And the Flying Witch cutout, which has newly been added to the Atomic Shop for Halloween, no longer clips into walls that have the wallpaper applied. So that's always good. I'm not sure if that's the one where she's flown into the wall and gone splat, or a different one, but nonetheless, that should actually be working properly with wallpaper now, so that's cool. So some item changes. Some of these are particularly interesting, many of them are particularly not interesting, but we'll focus on the important ones as per. So, raw Yaogwai meat can be sold properly now. Emmett Mountain hazmat suit can now be repaired. Cool. If you happen to have picked one of those up and want to repair it, great. Armor. This is a nice little change. Endurance bonuses offered by armor and under armor now correctly grant +5 health per point of endurance. So it's not a big change, but your armor will actually give you the health bonus it's supposed to do now, which is really nice. Mods can now correctly be applied to solar and thorn limb armor pieces. Arm and leg pieces. I don't know why I find that so difficult to say, but there we go. Which is nice. Those players who are rolling that, which I may or may not do in the future, so always good to see that functioning properly. Fix an exploit that could allow players to apply item mods without spending crafting materials under certain circumstances. Very good. That's a bit more detail than they usually give, which is cool. Fix the case where previously harvested flora would incorrectly appear harvestable when revisiting an area. I'm guessing it wasn't actually harvestable, but there's usually sort of two appearances to it, one before it's harvested and one afterwards, and obviously it's now going to appear correctly, which is always good. It will save a little bit of faffing. So, the description for the West Virginia Drifter helmet no longer incorrectly states that it protects against airborne diseases. So this was one that crops up from time to time, fairly often actually. Headwear that doesn't actually provide any protection, just cosmetic, occasionally suggests that it does. The last one I think was the Chinese stealth suit, maybe? Something like that. But, yep, another change on that. So that is now correctly expressing that it doesn't. It never was providing the bonuses, but now at least you'll know about it. So, the Captain Cosmos helmet no longer removes facial hair when equipped. Logical but odd bug, but nice to see that fixed, I'm sure, for those who are hirsute Captain Cosmoses. The Quack Mask will no longer cause the Pip Boy light to shine from the wrong place. Okay. Legendary weapons. Okay, so this is where we're getting into some of the big changes. Addressed an issue allowing weapons with certain legendary attributes to deal much higher damage than intended. So, that's interesting. They haven't specified which ones, and it's going to take a while for that to be sort of figured out, I guess. There are some other people out there who are much better placed to test these things than I am. So, I have to keep an eye out for that. But interesting that certain legendary weapons are going to see their damage output dropped. Hopefully this is a positive change, and they've picked the right things to change. I'm going to guess that this and the next one as well are changes that were meant to come in with One Wasteland anyway, but for some reason didn't actually get applied. So obviously that was a massive patch. Maybe something just didn't get copied across somewhere, who knows. It's a big patch and a lot of changes, so it's not surprising that some changes are still being made. But yeah, hopefully those are the right ones rather than the wrong ones, because as much as the damage makes things harder, which I'm happy about, there are some areas where it is really difficult to keep up, particularly if you're playing on your own, so fingers crossed it's the right changes. That's what I'm thinking there. One thing that I'm not desperately pleased to see is the Instigating Legendary attribute now correctly applies its damage bonus additively instead of multiplicatively. Yeah, I always struggle with that one. So yeah, basically it's a nerf to Instigating weapons as well, which is unfortunate because most of the time when you're using Instigating weapons, it's sneak attack headshots you're going for, so those should be big damage hits. So I have mixed feelings about whether or not this is a good thing. It might mean a lot less one-shotting with Instigating weapons, but most of those weapons that are going to be most profoundly affected by it are the big one-shot weapons, the Gauss rifles, the hunting rifles, stuff like that. If you've got an automatic, for example, with Instigating on it, that's always been kind of rubbish because it's only that first bullet that does double damage, and it's always going to be lower anyway. But yeah, I'm not convinced about this change. We'll see. I mean, I've only got the one Instigating weapon that I actually use now. It's on my archer character, but I have concerns about how effective that archer is going to be, which is why I haven't really played it since One Wasteland. I'll have to get on that. Yeah, not sold on that one. Again, it's something that was supposed to come in, I suspect, with One Wasteland on the last patch, but it is what it is. We'll have to see how that kind of carries out and how that actually works. But particularly for solo players, it's going to make the game that bit harder. So, something to be aware of. More minor pails ahead of the upcoming event, which is due this weekend. Empty pails can no longer be dropped, sold, or traded. Not sure what the deal with empty pails actually is. So I think that you buy them and then craft them into full ones that you can then get the rewards from, as opposed to just collecting them from the more minor treasure hunters. So you can no longer trade them or drop them or sell them. They will just be destroyed, I'm assuming. Same thing applies to technical data. You can't sell it or trade it or drop it anymore. That will also just be destroyed. Not sure that makes the biggest difference. I've definitely got to go and turn in a lot of technical data at some point, because I've got a lot of stuff to claim. I should probably do that before Steel Dawn, actually, because who knows what changes might come to that set of rewards once that drops. So if you haven't already done the technical data stuff, head over to Camp Venture and do it before then, just to be on the safe side if I were you. So weapons, the Cryolator with the crystallizing barrel mod should no longer damage the owner, which is great. Applying a Scorch Killer's receiver mod to the 45 SMG no longer results in a much faster fire rate than intended. A little unfortunate, because that needed a fire rate buff anyway, but hopefully that will happen sooner or later. And the Flatwoods Fletcher bow skin can now be applied to compound bows. So getting on to some of the last few bits and pieces. Performance stability, we're always happy to see these changes. Fix an issue that could cause the game client to crash. Great. Joining a daily op team from the location where the op takes place and then attempting to exit now correctly removes the player from the op. So supposedly if you were in, say, Vault 94? Is that the one? Yes, I think it is. Either way, if you're in the vault already and then you join a daily op from that location, leaving the team will put you back into the vault. But where previously it would have stayed inside the op instance, now it'll actually put you in the non-operation instance, which is better. That's what's meant to happen. Definitely a nice little fix. Implemented a fix to help mitigate hitching that can occur when cycling through items crafting menus. So nothing major there, just nice. Server stability. Several issues that could cause server to crash during normal gameplay, and a server crash during combat have both been fixed. So always nice to see as well. So a couple of perk changes here, a couple of nice ones, and now one that is not so nice for those who are bloodied players. I think we'll be particularly interested in this change, if not happy about it. So for awareness, enemy resistance values that appear in VATS with the awareness perk card equipped now correctly match the enemy's one wasteland adjusted resistances. So with that one wasteland patch, a lot of things changed, particularly focused on resistances. Not massively surprised to see this got overlooked. But the awareness perk should now give you correct figures, which is definitely a bonus. Nerd Rage. This is the big one. Now correctly applies its damage bonus additively instead of multiplicatively. Crikey, I hate that word. So, those of you using Nerd Rage, particularly on your bloody builds, you're going to see another hit to your damage, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending on how you want to look at it. I don't really have much of a feeling on the subject, to be honest, but it does mean that although bloody builds, again, will still be some of the most powerful, they are going to take a little drop again in their damage output. Which is, again, it's designed to bring it more into line with other builds. Obviously, it's supposed to still be particularly damage. That's the risk-reward thing, but particularly high damage, rather. But, yeah, it should bring it back more in line with everything. And apparently Nerd Rage was still doing more than it should. So, a little nerf there that you will probably want to be aware of. So, targets now correctly take increased damage after being attacked by players with Tenderizer perk card equipped. That's cool, because it's not the most useful perk ever, Tenderizer, but subsequent hits after your first one for a period of time will do increased damage, and apparently it wasn't correctly applying, so now it should. So that makes Tenderizer way more useful, which is very cool. So a couple of quest changes. Fix an exploit in which players can bypass a certain portion of Daily Ops uplink to access a signal repeater early. Not quite sure what that's supposed to mean, because a signal repeater is the first thing you get to, so I'm guessing there were ways to glitch through walls or something? Maybe? Or possibly head over there quicker somehow, but either way, there's an exploit been removed from that, which is good. Trade secrets. This is a nice little change, actually. Quest targets inside the Hornwright estate now point the player to the correct location instead of to the elevator. That has annoyed me before. It's part of the Wastelands quest line, and yeah, running around the Hornwright estate trying to find bits and pieces is very annoying when the quest markers don't point you anywhere near where you're supposed to be. So that will make life a little bit easier whilst you're trying to complete that quest. Which was not that it was difficult to do, it was just kind of annoying to hunt around until you eventually hit on the right interactable object. So that's definitely a nice change. So the jukebox sound effect should no longer play over music when repeatedly activating the jukebox, which is fine. Not sure why you would want to repeatedly activate it in the first place, but okay. And a couple of little UI changes. Buttons. So scoreboard and operation reports being mapped to the same button were causing problems. Now they should not cause problems, particularly when completing challenges and daily ops at the same time. It's always a bonus. Added a perk coin icon next to the reward for the Become Legendary challenge in the challenge menu. This is a one-off thing for passing the level 50 mark. He had an extra set of atom rewards, I think, actually, on that one. Or maybe it's perk coin rewards. I assume actually it's perk coin rewards. That would explain the icon. But that has obviously clarified that a little bit, which is cool. And an XP and in-game currency rewards to the rewards list that appear in the operation reports at the end of a daily op. So you get the full rewards list at the end of a daily op, which is always nice. But it was a little vague as to exactly how much XP and currency you were getting, and you had to look for it in other ways. So having added to that list does just simplify things a little better, makes it a little clearer, a little easier to see. So that's a nice little quality of life change. And Daily Ops adjusted the wording on the operation report when players have already earned tier rewards for that day to no more reward roles available instead of none. So if you've already completed all your roles and you run further Daily Ops, it'll tell you that you can't roll any more until the next day, as opposed to just being none. So it's a little bit more informative and a little bit more positive. So it's a nice little change, not a big deal, but nice. At least it gives a little bit more clarity. And they've addressed an issue that could cause a progress bar to start updating when capturing an uplink during a daily op. So that's nice. Random interruptions should not occur anymore, which is always good. So fixed an inventory item transfer issue that could occur after switching from to adventure mode from nuclear winter. Okay. Exiting a world while the daily ops operation report is on screen no longer prevents opening the map after joining a new world. Really weird little bug, that one, but good to have it fixed. Addressed an issue in which the world activity tracker would open automatically when viewing the map, even when no world activity notifications were present. Okay, so just a little thing there. Perk cards. This is just a little thing, but a tidiest thing. So equipped perk cards will no longer visually overlap with non-equipped perk cards when 9 or more are assigned to the same special category. So if your list gets too long under one particular special, it will no longer obscure the available perks across the bottom, which is, yeah, a little tidiness thing, but it's nice. So the Pip Boy, when joining an event, its objectives now appear and track correctly and are no longer automatically set as inactive in the Pip Boy. Again, a little quality of life change really, more than anything else there. You don't have to faff around with the Pip Boy each time you join an event to find the quest tracker for your heads-up display. So that's a little thing, but nice. A little quality of life change. I'm quite happy to see things like that coming in. And the icon for Daily Ops public team type has received updated art that is more specific to Daily Ops. So that's a tiny little thing, but interested to see what that'll be. And scoreboard. The player's current atom balance now updates immediately on the season scoreboard when claiming a rank up that reward that grants atoms. So your atom balance should read off correctly. Okay, nice. So, heavy lot of bug fixes mostly this time, and there's some additional stuff that they haven't talked about because it sets up the background stuff required for Steel Dawn in a couple of months. So it's not vastly interesting stuff, and they probably won't want to talk about it until the actual update goes live anyway. I don't want to give away too much before it actually happens, so not surprised to see that off the list, but yeah. A lot of little changes, a couple of nice bug fixes, some nice quality of life changes. Changes to the legendaries are a bit more iffy, some damage coming down, particularly for instigating, and something else that is currently unspecified, but we'll find out soon enough, no doubt. And Nerd Rage being nerfed is a big thing for a lot of people, I'm sure, but is what it is. I suspect they meant to do all of this when, as I say, One Wasteland first dropped, but clearly it didn't happen, so it is happening now. So it is what it is. Interested to hear what you guys think about it, but not massively surprised to get such a small patch this month. I would imagine next month will probably be similar, if only because the next really big content beat will be Steel Dawn, which is scheduled for December, so that'll probably be about the second week of December, ahead of Christmas, so we'll have a lot of Brotherhood of Steel stuff to dive into over the Christmas period, which will be cool. Although they might bump it a week earlier to give themselves a bit more time to do any post-patch fixes before Christmas, so we'll see what happens there. But all in all, yeah, some good changes, some slightly disappointing changes, but not entirely unexpected ones there. So there we go, a range of updates for you. So I do hope you guys found this useful and informative. If you did, please do hit those subs and likes for me. It's hugely appreciated, very, very helpful. Social media links, the merch store, and channel memberships all available down below the video if you'd like to support the channel in that way. The support is humongously appreciated and helpful. So massive thanks to everybody who's done that already. And if you get a chance, do join us for one of the live streams. We've got Fallout, Horizon Zero Dawn, and a little Halloween-themed sort of stream setup coming over the next few weeks as well. So hope you join us for some fun there. For now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.